LGBTQ community. I'm sure you can tell that my sidekick, David Skeeter Clemens, is not in the studio today. And we want to thank all our listeners for tuning in with us, because we're anticipating we got a big following and we got a big audience today to bring you the news. We have 3 core principles of our radio show, and it is empowerment, enrichment, and education to our listeners and our viewers. And we hope that during our radio show that we will prompt you to ask more relevant questions about the world around you, because this is our brick. This is our brick to changing and fighting inequality and anything that's oppressive to the LGBTQ community. We got some good friends in the audience with us today. I got my sidekick, the E to the double E to the I to the E.
And he's here, honey. He's back again.
Willie. Eddie Wiley is in the house. We have Laronia in the house, and my good friend Renee is in the house. So we're going to have a lot of information that we're going to be spreading out to the audience about what's going on in our community in Memphis, Tennessee, and all around us. But before I bring our guests in, I just want to bow down this line. Monday morning, there was a killing on Delta State campus. And actually last week, our entire show was about domestic violence. And one of the things that we were advocating, we had the Family Safety Center here on the show, and we were talking about the importance for raising awareness about what's going on. Now, my 2 cents and my rant about this incident is that throughout last week and this week, there were some things that I don't like that the media did about the crime. They talked about Professor Edith Smith and Professor Shannon Lamb. But when it came to identifying the other victim that was a part of this killing, it was a female. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that they said, even I looked today, was he killed a woman that he lived with. So they re-victimized another victim. They didn't put a name on her. They didn't have her face. They had the Professor Edith Smith face all over. They his funeral. They had all that, all of that. So what you're really telling me is that this man killing the female companion that he lived with wasn't as important as the professor at Delta State that he went in and killed.
It's almost like a classism issue as well as the racism, and it's just so much packed into the violence that we don't get to talk about.
It seems as if it was okay because the female was his partner.
Right.
But it wasn't okay for him to go and shoot the professor at the school. Mm-hmm. And they still haven't given out what was the motive behind it. Only thing that we know is that he left a note apologizing and that he wished he could take it back. But my beef is that why not put a name and why not put a face and give this lady a proper recognition exactly about her murder? Why not? What about her family? Only thing they said was he killed a lady that he lived with. That's it.
Quotes on lady.
Yeah, that's it. No name, no picture, no nothing. No mention of what her occupation was, who she was, how important her life was.
She had a life as well.
What her contribution was, daughter, sister, aunt, mother maybe, we don't know. So I was really disturbed by this. So that was like my 2 cent rant. You know, we have a rant every day before the show come on. So it really bothered me. So that's my rant. And I think we have to do better. I think we have to do better, because when will it be uncommon for a lady to be beaten every minute? 20 are beaten every minute, abused. You know, that should be uncommon. It shouldn't be something as common as it is. When would that be out of the ordinary? You know?
And then the hurtful part, since it is so underreported, I think the media is now common when it happens. So they jump to it on the news stations, and now it happens so much, and then it's like, okay, well, another one happened. And we're too used to it, but we don't get riled up.
Well, Eddie, that's kind of synonymous with the Black Lives Matter movement. You have black on black crime all day long in the city, and nobody says anything. But when you have someone outside the race kill a black person, for instance, a white police officer or another white and black, it's like, let's burn Memphis down, or let's burn Baltimore down, let's burn Ferguson down. And they just have black on black crime rampant. We should protest, period. Not just when it's another race.
Killings, violence, definitely is something that
exactly. There's desensitized
they shy away from.
Black on black crime.
Right.
So we got to do better, people, We got to do better. Nobody's like hating on the race or whatever, but we just can't. They said you whitewash it, we can't blackwash it. So, right, we can't blackwash it. So
it has to be universal.
Exactly.
Lives matter. It has to be. Let's make sure that we cover everybody, but also highlight the issues that we're having internally and externally.
So I want to bring in our guest, and I allow her to introduce herself today on the Unleashed Voice radio show for the LGBTQ community. Go ahead.
Oh, come on.
Okay, well, my name is Laronia Hurd Sawyer, and I am the Executive Director of Partnership to End AIDS Status, which is called AKA PEAS Inc. We were started in November of 2009, and it was like a group of my friends. We got together and we saw a lot of gaps that was in the community. And so we got together and was like, look guys, we need to get together and we need to help our people. So
when you say help our people, what do you mean?
With HIV and AIDS, I mean, it's devastating the African American community.
Okay.
And it has been thus far for 30 years. Still here, still killing black African Americans. And so when we got together, you know, we created different programs. We found funding, not here in Memphis. We went up elsewhere, found funding. And so when we started making a change, Memphis started noticing us. And so we was being funded by the county or Ryan White to do programs. And while doing programs, we saw that we left out a community, which was the trans community. So I met Renee here, and we kind of got together, and we created from a previous Debbie, or like this intervention, TWISTA, which catered to the trans African American community. And thus far, we have just been bringing people in, educating them, you know, giving them self-empowerment, just making them feel wanted and that they deserve to be here like everybody else.
Hey, that's great. So you said Twister.
TWISTA.
Okay.
TWISTA.
TWISTA.
Yes.
Is it transgender sisters informing sisters on topics about AIDS?
Yeah, it's trans women informing other women on topics of HIV.
Right. I did a little research so I had to know what was going on in the community. And I see you all wearing some T-shirts there.
Yes.
And you have PEAS, P-E-A-S.
Mm-hmm.
What does PEAS stand for?
Partnership to End AIDS Status.
Hey, that's great. That's
And
great.
this organization works so well with the Unleashed Voice movement because PEAS came in with a voice.
Yes.
And their voice, they came small at first, and then they overpowered. We have to have that voice with the trans sisters. So I personally want to thank Laronia and the entire organization.
Thank you. And then I think it's more of, because we are the only, I think, grassroots, we are African Americanly owned and operated, and we do untraditional hours, meaning our work day does not start until probably 7, 8 o'clock at night and then go into the early morning. Because that's when people get those risky behaviors, you know. They are not out doing risky behaviors from 9 in the morning to 5 p.m. No, they somewhere at somebody's job or sleep, getting ready for the nightlife. So that was something that we wanted to incorporate when we created this organization.
Okay, hold that thought. We have to take a pause for the cause. Our first commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some risky behavior. This is the Unleashed Voice for the LGBTQ community here on AM 990. KWAM, baby. Don't change that dial. We'll be right back.
All right.
And we are back to the Unleashed Voice for the LGBTQ community here on AM 990 KWAM Talk Radio. And Eddie just mentioned the Relationship Unleashed Empowerment Workshop Series. This is part 3 of our part 4. Oops. And the topic of this workshop is Generation X, Y, the Millenniums, and the Baby Boomers. Can we all get along? And we're going to have that day facilitating on Millenniums, Veronica and Dominique doing the Millennium Stud and the Millennium Film. And
Yes.
Dr. Kay Streeter is going to be there, a school psychologist. She's going to share her expertise about the Millennium Generation X and Y.
And maybe we should bring her couch.
yeah, on the couch with Dr. K. She used to be our station mate. And also, I'll be doing the topic on the baby boomers, and we'll lead Davy in the Generation Y. So we got a good lineup. We have free food, free refreshments. Just go to Relationship Unleashed and sign up. And before we took our break, we have the fabulous people in the studio from their group here in Memphis, TWISTA. And also they gave us the acronym for Peace. So I have Laronia. Laronia, what's your last name again?
Heard Sawyer. Heard. Sawyer.
Okay, thank you. I thought you was like Parasoya.
That's a new one.
Laronia Heard Sawyer is in the studio, and my good friend Renee Taylor is in the studio. Always have something to say. I know you just sitting over there itching. So we took a break. We left a cliffhanger. So we were talking about risky behavior. So Renee, what is risky behavior, and who are we talking about to have risky behavior? Because I know Eddie be out. We trying to help him out. We need
Wait
some
a minute.
tips. You need some tips.
Well, through our program, we
You talk to Mike.
okay.
Okay.
Through our program, we try to we collect data showing that there's a trans woman population here in the city of Memphis. Anyone that works in the field knows that normally some of the data collected says that they label trans women as men that sleep with men, and that's incorrect.
Okay.
So what we do is through our event, we collect data to show there's a population here that needs to be served.
Okay. But we were talking about the risky behavior. What is
Yeah.
risky behavior?
A lot of trans women, not by choice, there's a struggle to survive. Therefore, they might do sex work or something like that, and that's
I've never heard it say it like that. Sex work.
Sounds
Yeah.
Okay.
fancy.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
And I'm sure if they don't want to do it, but they have to do it because they're wondering where's my next meal coming from? How am I going to support myself? How am I going to do the things that are necessary to live?
So, in addressing this behavior, because we know it exists in the trans community, and I think that so we like to educate our listeners, because I'm sure somebody out there confused, like trans community. So what would be labeled when you say trans community? Was it somebody like Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, this big public figure out here?
It would be someone like Caitlyn Jenner, except for she has privilege.
Okay.
She has money.
Oh.
Okay, you get
So-
somewhere there.
Yeah.
So that privilege allows her to not have to do the thing that some trans women have to do. And also we've had 20 murders thus far this year, 1 white, 19 black,
Wow.
and
Is
that's
this
a step
across the United States?
across the United States.
Okay.
And there's also some domestic partner violence involved.
You know, I was reading a study, and it also says that trans women of color are the highest
Mm-hmm.
of the ones that are affected and that are abused.
And the least served, I'm sure.
Yes. I mean, they're the most marginalized, stigmatized segment of the trans community.
Great education. So would you say that the people like Laverne Cox and
Janet Marr.
and T.S. Madison, these big social media figures and TV figures out front getting attention and bringing awareness, if they use their platform, will you think that that's kind of shifting the attitude and opening the conversation for all trans women and the needs and the issues that they face?
I would say yes on one end, I would say no on the other, because they are the exception and not the rule. Often the question is asked, am I trans enough? You know,
Okay.
what makes me trans, and who's to tell me that I'm not a girl? And even though some, they're exception to the rule, because the average does not have the privilege that they have.
So this average is just like our everyday females that we see, and we publicize Laverne and Janet. We do great work.
Yeah, I
do
mean,
you think we forget about the people that we see every day?
I don't want to use the term passable and unpassable, and
Use it.
Well, tell us about that.
I mean, a very passable girl is more accepted into society because they can be stealthy.
You
They
say,
can
when
blend
you say
into,
passable, you mean she looks more,
More like a female.
I
Okay.
don't care.
and that shouldn't be important. I'm telling you I'm trans, I'm saying I'm trans, I'm Renee all the time.
Mhm.
Right.
Even if I'm not glammed out, I'm Renee.
Right.
This is who I am.
Gotcha.
You know, this is not a shell, just a shell. This is a person that's telling you inside I'm Renee.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I did some little research, and
Okay.
we're gonna talk about this upcoming conference, but I still see that in some arenas in the medical field, they still have a term where they identify people that identifies trans as a gender identity disorder.
Mm.
But I thought that they changed that, and I know we're gonna tackle some issues, social issues coming up,
Yeah.
and I saw that this is still used in some fields.
I mean, it's rather archaic.
It hurt my
and
feelings. It hurt my feelings when
Yeah.
I read it.
There's no confusion.
Mhm.
There's definitely no confusion. I think it's an archaic, dated statement used by psychologists. And you know, some of them some of them are modern, some of them are not. But gender expression, is open to interpretation. As we also know that gender is a social construct.
Right. So then when we talk about the, you were getting into something about the passable versus non-passable.
The non-passable. I believe that you have those that, it's more to socially, it's heteropatriarchy. It's, if you're more feminine and you look more female, it's comparable.
I got you.
Okay.
I feel like you need to step into your discomfort and look at the ones that make you uncomfortable.
Ah, so you unleashing voices.
Yes, that's God.
So we have a conference coming up, 2015 Mid-South HIV Conference on November 16 and 17, 2015 at the University of Memphis.
Mhm.
It's called Better Together, Getting to Zero in the Mid-South. And I'm so excited that we're going to be doing this big conference. So Renee, you're there. You're kind of spearheading a little bit. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Our organization, Relationship Unleashed, was invited to be a part of this. This will be our first time doing something to this degree with the trans community. We have done things with the trans community, but not to this degree.
Yes.
And you're on a panel, right?
Yeah.
I'm on a panel discussion. I think this is a great thing. We need this dialogue in the South because a lot of Black trans women, they have a lot of violence, and there's also a social need for this conversation
Mhm.
because we have this population here. It's underserved, and sometimes it's overlooked.
So I think that's why Peas is great. So the work that Laronia does.
Yes, yes. But I also think that the greatest problem that we do have in Memphis is we have so many homeless trans women. And that's why, Peace is in the works of trying to get a safe space for
Okay.
trans individuals.
Mhm.
We do have a GoFund page, and we also have,
Get them coins on it.
yeah, and we do accept donations, but really here we have a large population of homeless youth, and it's a large population of trans women, and that's why we come back to the risky behavior things, because when you have to survive, sex work it's easy money,
It's their life.
so.
Yeah. And I think that's great, and I think that the work that you do, you have to be out front. And I'm so glad that we have this radio show, because we're approaching our first year with Unleashed Voice for the LGBTQ community. And so before we end our interview and take our last break of the evening, Laronia, how many women would you say is part of your organization, just a rough figure?
Well, I would say we have brought about about a good 80 to 90 women through TWISTA,
Right.
That's
educating
awesome.
them on
That's good.
HIV, self-empowering them, giving them the resources that they need. Because we are so small, we do refer our clients to partners in the community. But I'm such a stickler on safety that I refer them to people who I know is gonna take care of my community my community people.
That's great.
So I'll say about 80 to 90.
80 to 90, yeah.
And the great thing about TWISTA also is that it's pure led. So I have Renee and my other outreach worker, Tamisha, and they do a great job in, just going out there outreaching. We outreach, take them condoms, we meet people where they are. We don't
Right.
expect for them to come into our office. We go out to them.
You actually do
Right.
out,
Street work.
reach,
Yeah,
reach
outreach.
out.
Yes.
Yes, most definitely.
So Renee, I just want to congratulate you on your sitting shoe.
Yes.
It was for the city chew, right?
It was chat.
Chatting chew. I know it was something about some chewing.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
So I want to congratulate you on that. And so the next time you have something like that, we want you to come in, use our platform to help you promote that. I'm extending you the invitation. This is my third time extending you an invitation.
Oh yeah, I'm
So
gonna.
But
it's
she's
not
here
like-
now.
Yeah.
I'm here now. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yes.
Yeah.
We want to thank you all for coming on the radio show. And once again, Laronia, we're here. Please use our platform to help you promote your events you have coming up.
Thank
And
you.
if we ask you guys to come back, will you please come back?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to take a quick break. This is our last break for the evening. This is the Unleashed Voice for the LGBTQ community here on AM 990 Talk Radio. Do not change that dial. We got Mario
All
Jazz
right.
coming up next. We'll be right back.